Party. Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya cashback.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Thirteenth day of July 2022. Good morning. This is KBC and this is KBC News Check. And today, of course, we are putting politics aside, but not quite aside, because we are looking at social protection. We have had four manifestos by the four presidential candidates talking about how they are going to look at the welfare of the vulnerable. And just to put things into perspective, the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics categorized Turkana and West Pokot County as requiring 70% of people there requiring urgent help and intervention. Well, one of the manifesto is talking about 6,000 every month. There are others talking about also helping the single mothers. There are all these sorts of campaign pledges, because that's exactly what they are. They're just pledges. But what is the situation currently, and especially now that we have the high cost of living? We also have the general elections which are coming in the next 26 days. How has things been? They are quite tight, but at least there are some people who have dedicated their lives to ensuring that they look at the interest of the most vulnerable in the community. And exactly that is what we want in the new Kenya that we want, and especially after the general polls. Well, joining me on set is a philanthropist and also the director of God Will Provide charity organization, which among other things looks at the interest of the vulnerable, the orphans, the widows, and has started programs to ensure that we assist these people who need our help, and especially when they do that, the little ones. Newton Ogada, karibu sana, my brother.
Thank you very much.
How have things been? The last time we were with you, you were talking about heading to the US for a meeting with your partners to see how the situation is, because the situation is hard for Kenyans. It's also hard for you guys.
Everything is the same as it is in Kenya. This economical problem is affecting the whole world. I was in America 2 weeks ago. I stayed there for like close to 2 months. But fuel is expensive as it is in Kenya. The food prices are the same way. The material cost, everything is just like here. So it is not just a normal lifestyle that people have been living in. Everything is actually double price. And that makes it too difficult for everybody in the whole world.
And institutions like yourself, you have either to go to your pocket,
yes,
or even look for strategic partners like you have in the United States. And it's even harder for them as well, because you said that the economic, of course, the economic downturn is hitting each and every country.
Yes.
How have you been managing? Because you're saying it's also hard for them.
It is not actually easy.
Because the kids have to eat.
It is not easy, but now we have to adjust with whatever little we are getting.
Okay.
You know, you have to adjust with the economy. Like, for example, I'm taking care of the orphans. I have some widows. I have many people that actually depend on our organization and me as well. But when it was too difficult to me, it is difficult to even the supporters, the donors who are outside there. But what I like is that they keep on adjusting. You remember, it is just 1 year ago when we had COVID, and COVID made the whole world have economical challenges. And after that, then we have the war in Ukraine and Russia, and that hike up the prices of everything for each and every human being. So what I thank God is that we are catching up with all the situation. Though it is difficult, I'm not getting 100% as have been getting. I'm not, actually, there are many things that now I have to redo, rethink, because they are not there as usual. Many of donors are dropping out because even them, they are paying their taxes, they are living, there are people who are living in their country. But we are now rolling out other programs that will bring money to our institution. Like I told you, we are coming up with a nice hospital, we are coming up with a school, and these are businesses. I don't put them as charity things, but they're businesses. If somebody gets sick, you get treated, you have to pay for your bills, or use the NHIF. When you bring your child to our school, you have to pay for it. And this actually, I see, is actually giving me a little bit of top-up of what I've been missing when now we are in this difficult time.
Yes, and actually we were going to be looking at some of the projects that you are doing, because at the end of the day you have to initiate programs that you make people know how to fish as opposed to the fish alone.
Yeah.
Well, there are adjustments that Kenyans have had to do. Like now, a lot of Kenyans are not having 3 meals per day.
Yeah.
And you have to forego some things. Some people have to walk to work, and everybody has had to make some adjustments. Have you made any adjustments in your organization?
Yes, I had some adjustment. Like when it comes to food, I was still providing 3 meals a day. I'm still providing most of things, but what I'm trying to adjust, I'm trying to work on how I can build up something to bring income, so that that gap will be filled. You know, like I told you, like before I did not have school or sport and all those things, they were not bringing money. But today, the school is bringing a little bit. So if my budget, for example, was maybe 1.5 million in 1 month to feed and to take care of the kids, now I'm getting another 500,000, which means I'm still at the same level. Yeah, I'm still at the same level. So if I'm losing 50% from the donors, but I can get 50% from here. So I've done a little bit adjustment, but not really.
And we are in the political season.
Yes.
And we have seen politicians traverse different counties, wards, and even the presidential ones have been doing rounds around the country. And we have witnessed that politicians become a little bit philanthropic when they are seeking votes. Have you seen any politicians who have decided to at least partner with you to alleviate some of the suffering of these people?
For sure, I will not wish to have any to support me now, because that is kind of bribing me. I've been there for the past 10 years. If you have not been with me when I need you, why will you now mind of coming now when you need votes? Let me tell you, brother, this country, we have a lot of money. This country has a lot of money. If you check on how much the politicians now are giving out, you know, and there are many, that money is enough to maintain this country. But the problem we have, we are saving a lot to give during election so that we can win the election, which is wrong, because the country belongs to everybody. The country belongs to your children. You know, we are not permanently here. We are here for short duration. At least if you stay in this country for 90 years, it's just God's grace. But we are here for short period. But I don't know why our leaders are looking on a way of making it to be so hard 4 years and to be easy for 1 year so that you can elect them back. There are things that I've heard politicians are counting, that if you elect me, I will fix the road, I will build the school. They should not say that, because that money is already in the budget of this country. When they are reading the budget of trillions, I think budgets of road are there. Budgets of schools are there. It's only that when they are being elected, they will oversee. They will supervise how this money works. It is not them who are making roads. It is your money, your tax, which is going to make for you. If you go to America, The politicians are not campaigning about the roads because the roads have been taken care of by the tax, which you are paying. But here, we are campaigning that I will fix the roads, or I will do this, or I will build this. Why? You have the salary.
You've not had any politician say that I will ensure that the money that is meant or earmarked for this and this project to protect the vulnerable, they don't talk about that.
Let me tell you one thing. If you want to retain in power, you make your people be poor. So that whenever you go, you are the breadwinner to everybody, and they will just elect you. But I think we need to jump out of that. We need to think on how can we make Kenya to be an affordable country for each and every person, for unborn, for the new one, for those who will come. Because we are killing it now. What about our grandchildren? How will they survive? If, when I was 3, 4, 10, 5 years old, I heard that they were saying I will fix the road. When I'm now over 40, they are still saying I'll fix the road. What is going on with these roads? So I think when it comes to socio and charity work, we should think of developing our own economy. I've been traveling a lot. In this country, I think we have the potential to make this country be better than how it is now. Today I was driving and I saw many big buildings. I was asking myself, this building is now owned by one person. It costs millions and millions of money. What about if this guy could actually think of not building this building here and take this money and take our children to school? How many people will actually be educated with the money I'm seeing as a building? What this person is earning from the building is more than enough to himself. Do you take the cash? Because every month you're getting. Where are you taking them? I'm not saying that those who own buildings and rich are not supporting, but can we put an agenda of bringing up ourselves together and see that everything that we give to the humanity will build the economy of our country? It's so simple and easy as that.
Yeah, and we are in the political season and campaigns have taken over everything. And looking at the manifestos that the candidates, because that is more or less the blueprint they are going to use if at all they ascend to power. They have talked about, just to mention some of the political gimmicks that we hear during political rallies, is that we're going to give you 6,000, that is in Azimio, for those Kenyans who will not have had either a source of livelihood, a business, or some source of income. We have heard of even single mothers that were going to be looked into. When you hear what is in the manifestos, and you've been around for 10 years, perhaps you've heard this song over and over again. Do you think these guys are being honest with what they're saying?
I think all the politicians are on their time of writing their CV and applying for job. You know, when you want a job, you apply for it.
Yes.
You have to write all the English, you know. You have to write where you've been working.
Yes.
You have to make this document to be understandable. Even if you don't know what exactly you must make this document to be understandable.
Yes.
For whoever is going to employ you. That's what is going on now.
It's PR.
Because we have 6,000. We have Baba Care. We have all this. I don't want to say they are not going to do them, because Kibaki said he will actually give us the CDF he did. We did not have CDF before. I don't know how they were calling it during then.
Also the free primary education, a lot of Kenyans didn't think it wasn't going to happen.
Kibaki said I will fix the road he did. So I don't want to comment that they cannot do it, because it depends with actually the leadership which is coming in. But some are just PR. Like for example, 6,000. 6,000 per household, those who are not working, is enough to build big companies so that these people can earn more than 6,000. That is making sense. Giving 6,000, I don't comment, I don't complain about it. But if we could actually take this money to make 2 companies in each and every county, then in 5 years' time, when whoever will be in power, that money will circulate and build up our economy, because they're going to pay tax. You know, sometimes I disagree with us, our people. You complain the road is bad, but there's no any company, there's nothing. Which vehicle will drive to that road? But when we build companies, actually we have to work on the roads because there will be transport system. There will be some business coming in. Again, we have the politicians saying, Kenya Kwanza. Kenya Kwanza. I accept, I respect their slogan. But what happened with the Kenya we are today? Because this is Kenya Kwanza. They have been in power for the past 10 years, and they're saying today it is Kenya Kwanza, which is coming in the next 3 weeks. So I don't get, I always take these things as a slogan and tactics of convincing those who don't understand the growth of the country. Me, I understand the growth of the country because I've been into developed countries. I've seen how they're doing it. Yeah.
And still talking on that, I've picked up this one in the morning, that Partnership for Africa Social and Governance Research pointed out that there are major gaps in our social protection. And one of the things they cited in their research is their ineffectiveness in ensuring that the programs do get to the targeted Kenyans, and the implementation. You find like 3 ministries which have a social protection.
Yeah.
Either it's kazi kwa vijana, either it's the money that is given to the elderly, whether it's they have so many of these projects, which is being hard, which is harder to manage all these projects, and they are all being carried out concurrently.
The problem that we have is only one: misunderstanding, and we act like we are new in this country. For example, kazi kwa vijana, it should not be the way I see they are rolling it out. It is seasonal, as I've been watching it. It is not something that can sustain. For example, now, it is out now. I see the vijana, they are out, they are clearing the bushes, they are making it nice. But what happened 3 months ago? These things should be operated by the national government in a proper way. You know, but the problem that we are undergoing is one: the money was released. It is there. It was released. But the person who is in charge of this money needs some shares. So it will not reach to the ground the way it was being rolled to go out down there. It's just like 50% remain in the office and 50% goes down there, and when it goes down there, we still have some other people again down there who call themselves their bosses. So you'll find a youth who was supposed to earn 1,000 shillings per day is earning 300 shillings per day, which cannot buy unga and sugar. So you'll find that this boy is going to work in the morning and coming back with 300 shillings, which cannot support their family. So whenever I see all these things are happening, I don't understand.
That's a good way you've put it, but we're going to get back to the 70% of all the residents in a county requiring urgent intervention. But before we do that, let's first of all cross over the CAS Health. Mercy Mwangangi is currently addressing on use of technology.
Supply chains. And so I must say, in terms of moving forward and leapfrogging from the COVID-19 pandemic, we've done well. For me, the proudest tools, for me, that I would say these have been fantastic, perhaps would be the Chanjo system. I can tell you in the beginning, and I can see people nodding in the audience, but many people declined using Chanjo system in the beginning. I see Anastasia there. We had the private sector telling us, what is this system that you're putting in place? We don't think it will work. We think it's a little bit mediocre. But now the Chanjo system is fully applied across different facilities, almost close to 4,000 vaccination centers in this country. And it is able to help us track a batch of vaccines from the store all the way to the user. Again, a great example of how we utilize digital transformation in the age of COVID-19. A new tool that is now being utilized is Damu Sasa. Very soon, and I think we've already actually launched that and it is in operation, we will be able to track blood from vein to vein in this country. So any blood that is donated, be it in Turkana, be it in Kajiado, will be tracked from that vein in Turkana to another vein in Nairobi. again, the whole supply chain, the whole clinical management pathway when it comes to blood will be visible. So again, I think for me, it's to say that the opportunities abound. There are many. I could sit here and chant to you 10 million case studies of why it is important to actually embrace technology and data when it comes to decision making. And I think everyone here has cemented it. It is about providing answers to the questions that the people have, but then having them as part of those solutions. When we were tracking blood, I can tell you from vein to vein, we didn't sit in Afia House and come up with that solution. We went to the guys in the labs who drew the blood. We went to the donor and asked them, what do you want in terms of making this system more accountable and more visible for you? So it's very important that at the end of the day, digital transformation is centered on people.
Excellent. And thank you very much, Dr. Mashinani. I think that's very insightful. Just to double click on that, I know particularly in digital transformation, we normally talk about strategy and having a very clear vision of where you're going, right? And I know as a ministry, you have the, I believe, National Community Digitization. Is stakeholders engagement there. Actually, it is the Insights Summit of 2022 there. Dr. Mercy Mwangangi, the CAS Health, talking about infusing of technology and talking about some of the challenges that they have had. Remember, the country and the world was just from a pandemic that we still are grappling with, which has not only dented health institutions but also economies of the world. Just in case you joined us, this is News Check, and we are looking at the interest, the marginalized and the vulnerable in the wake of challenges, the economic downturn in the world, and also we have the COVID-19 pandemic. And in a Kenyan situation, we have the general election, which polarizes the economy of the country each and every election cycle. But at the end of the day, we still have to protect the marginalized and also the vulnerable in the society. And that is why I'm joined here by a philanthropist and also the director of God Will Provide, a charity organization looking at the interest of orphans, widows, and the likes. And before we crossed over to the CAS for health there, we were talking about, at the end of the day, you also have to have projects that will bring in some income as opposed to each and every time looking for your donor partners.
Yeah.
Tell us something about that.
Yeah,
the fishing part.
My organization is not there for 1 year or 2 years or 10. It's there for life. So I can not only depend on donor funding and raising funds. The way you see the world is running, today this pandemic, tomorrow another one, tomorrow. So these challenges, they keep on coming. And I think I foresee this thing before they happen. That's why we are setting up an hospital, and it's really working there. It's called Berils, and that's why we have the school, both primary and secondary. Sometimes the way I'm running my organization, I took it that the donors holds my hands. They hold my hands to start. Then after that I can walk. There's a time that you carry the child. There's a time that you watch your child. There's a time that your child start walking. Then there's a time that your child will be running. And there's a time you will never care about your child again. So I was in the days of standing up, and I'm still there. I'm not out of there. I'm still there. But I'm looking away to make sure in maybe 5 years' time, I will stand on my feet, that I can sustain my organization without depending on donor fund. Many of organizations has been closed because they only depend on donor funding. And when there's pandemic like what happened in the whole world, then some people shut down their doors because they cannot survive themselves better. So they have to take care of their families too. But to me, we are really working so hard to make sure that we have something. I don't want to eat fish all the time. I want to know how to get my fish alone.
Yeah. And still on the donors, indeed, there are some organizations which have been forced to shut down.
Yeah.
And it's because of how the economic the economy is of each and every country.
Yeah.
But there are some of the donors who are pulling out because of accountability issues.
Yeah.
There are some even NGOs which have been audited and found that a lot of money is being siphoned. Can you talk about accountability? Because some of the donors are even fearing to chip in and help organizations like God Will Provide because of accountability issues that we have.
That is all over. But I thank God because we have never had such. You know, the way I'm running my institution is from my heart. I'm running it as my family. I cannot rob the food that I brought to my children. I'm working so hard to make something on the table. I cannot take this again and put it somewhere else. But we have issues. You know, issue number one, if you feel you are not comfortable in whenever you are, you see, already God has has actually given you an opportunity to have something in your table every day. Why do you think again of getting the other one and putting it this side? You know, but most of the organizations, there's a way of them to get rich. There's a way of them to get rich, and people are. I think there's something in the mind of most of CEOs. If you're doing your business, just a simple question: will you ever take anything from your business and put it the other side? You cannot do that. You will actually want to manage it in a way for it to grow. My way of running my institution is that in the next 20 years, I want to see all my children from the orphanage are graduates and they're working. So when I'm getting old, they will take over and start supporting the children because they are from the same organization. You know. But most of the people are funny. You have been given money to build maybe a school. You take that money, you build one classroom, then you build your 2-story house in one of the cities within your region. What are you trying to do? Your food is already here. God knows why he actually given you the opportunity to manage.
And still, Ogada, on accountability, I remember you've talked about how the government, and indeed there are some programs to cushion some of the vulnerable, including our youth, Kazim, Tani and stuff.
Yeah.
And talking about accountability, we have seen that, and it's in the public domain, that some of the money that is geared towards ensuring that the vulnerable are protected does not end up in their pockets, and especially the wazees.
Yeah.
We have seen that, and an audit has been done that a lot of money is not really getting into the pockets of these Kenyans who solely depend on this money.
Yeah. You know, the problem in this country, sometimes I've been watching TV here and see how Honorable Jacoa is talking about corruption. I'm a Christian, I don't want to get to that level. But at times, we need a tough president to deal with these corruption issues. For example, we talked about the CEOs who are not doing well in their financial report. They're not giving, their accounts are not matching with what they are doing. The person who will be sent to supervise the documents is corrupt. The person who will be sent to one of the people, maybe the CEOs who have been corrupt in their organization, the auditor is another corrupt person. He's coming and you call him and you say, okay, I know I did wrong this, but I can take you for lunch. The same to the government institutions, the money for the old.
And you believe perhaps because these are government projects where it will, for lack of a better word, trickle down from the national government to my 80-year-old granny, right?
Yeah.
The chain of how this money trickles down is where the issue is. And that is perhaps where we should refocus our energies on.
The problem is not even we can have 20 people, 30 people in the same line, but it can be straight. The problem is the top. The problem is in the top. Why don't you take somebody to jail for 20 years, a prominent person? Then the younger one, the little people, the little fish will actually understand it. You know, take somebody to jail. We have corruption cases in court pending every day. I think they are the most cases we have in this country. But how many people have been jailed? Nobody. So it's a trend of, let me get there, still a little bit, take my lawyer, and then from there I can actually take from wherever, and then things will just be okay. Remember, we are in election. The IEBC said recently that we will never give chance to those who have cases in court. Who is not being given chance now? Maybe 2%. 98% are on the ballot. Be it educational background, be it corruption. Everybody's having cases. Even, I don't want to mention anybody's name, but even in my county, there are some people who have cases in court. But I see them, they are vying. They are clean as cotton. If we don't fight against corruption, the donor fund will be not coming to our country, because even them, they're working so hard. I've been everywhere. I see the way these whites are working so hard to give us aid. There's no any tree in America or in Europe that you just get money. These people have to work day, night, and then they have good heart to give the Africans, and then one person is taking it all. And the person who is actually supposed to be supervising him is corrupt. A time is coming that we will be sink. We have not sunk. We have not sunk. We are going to sink. If we don't mind about this corruption case, we are going to. Kenya will be normal. We will be like any other corrupt countries.
And also looking at some of the projects that the government has.
Yeah.
Like now, the Kazi Mtaani.
Yeah.
For the young people.
Yes.
Sometimes it's on, sometimes it's off.
Yeah.
These cash transfer programs are not quite enshrined in law, because sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not there. Do you think perhaps if we decide that the programs that we have, the social protection programs that we have, we run each and every day, each and every year, do you think perhaps that could help in getting to the desired people?
All the campaigners are saying we are going to create job opportunities. They're the same people who create job opportunity for 2 months, then it's not there for 8 months. The problem is not with our people. The problem is in the system of the government that we are running, and that is it. If we don't deal with corruption, the Kazi kwa vijana, the Kazi Mtaani will be there for only 1 month. Even these single women, single mothers, it's just a campaign tool after election. I remember even the last election, the issue of the single mothers was there. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if they stopped being single. I don't know if the children died. Nobody has ever talked about them again. But now again it's up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now we are also having our second guest. Karibu sana Bwana Maina Karobia. He is a youth leader and also a governance and policy expert to also reel in the aspect of the youth, because they're also vulnerable. I'm saying that because they also have some cash transfer program that have been initiated by the government to help alleviate some of the suffering and also give them a sense of life. Maina, yes. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Naam.
Nimechelewa kidogo lakini binguni sitachelewa sana. Binguni
okay.
Yes, so it's a pleasure being on this set as we discuss on the various plans that we have for the government that is coming. We are a few days to the next government. Okay,
let me just throw you in the deep end.
Yes.
Looking at the manifestos, and especially for the presidential candidates, I've seen that a lot of governors now, gubernatorial candidates are also having their own manifestos. But looking at the four presidential candidates that we have in the next month's election,
yes,
the youth, and especially protecting the most vulnerable. Yes. Indeed, there are some cash programs there, and there's some kazi kwa vijana and some kazi mitaani.
Yes.
Some of the programs that have been geared towards helping them. What would you say? And do you see this as one of the aspects that will, if any of the four candidates, will be adequately addressed?
You see, my brother and our viewer, we have had so many public works programs that are targeting the most vulnerable, particularly the youth. But what has always been the question, and my brother has actually alluded to it, is the sustainability of these programs. I think rather than throwing so much money into these programs, trying to create a more of dependency culture amongst the youth, I think we need to pump this money into initiatives, commercial and social, and also political that are more of empowering. Already, you empower an already existing initiative, whether political or social or even economic, so that there is some growth. You see, this money, rather than just throwing it to the economy, and maybe we don't have a quantifiable and measurable mechanism to show how it has helped or assisted in terms of growth of the living standards of this particular sector, which is the youth in this case. We need to have money, or we need to already existing initiatives that are led by the youth, so that we can be able to measure, so that even in the next financial year, you're able to know or you're able to follow and monitor in regards to this didn't work, we can improve on this. But when you draw money or resources to maybe a willing person or not willing, then it means you can't really measure. Like for instance, there are the resources that came with the Kazi Mtaani. If you ask the government how many people have benefited from that, they'll just tell you that a certain number of people enrolled in the program, but they will not tell you how many people benefited from the program, because there is a whole difference between you getting the resources and utilizing that resource in terms of growing. Like for instance, when Kazi Mtaani was coming on this very set on KBC last year, I insisted that rather than just giving this 1,000 shillings to the youth on daily basis, why don't we have, like you tell them, we are going to give you 500 shillings. The other 500 shillings we are going to save. We are going to have a scheme for the youth to save, so that we can be able to generate income out of it. You can even also give loans even to the government, because that's how progressive societies do. You save a certain percentage, you can now, even as a scheme, loan that money to the government, and it will come with an interest. And essentially, that money is going to come back. The interest is now going to be earned as a dividend by the people who have saved in that scheme. So we need to move out of that, because for me, I look at it as if it's a handout scheme with some good English of Kazi Mtaani or Kazi kwa Vijana. We need to look at it from the point of, how are we going to be sustainable? How can we come up with a program that is measurable, that is quantifiable in terms of growth of the youth?
Indeed, and Ogada, this is something that has also been raised earlier on, that as opposed to just giving, let me just use Maina's word, the handout, there will be a scheme. A good example, yesterday on KBC Channel here, we had a story about a group of elderly women, 70 years plus, who are making animal feed. And incidentally, because they are sourcing them locally, they are able to make feed that is a little bit cheaper than the conventional market prices. Perhaps that could be substituted to cash transfer programs.
As my brother said, the problem we have in this country is the implementation. The money is there from tax. The Kenya is giving a good tax collection when in terms of business and other things, and they are rolling this money out to the Kazi kwa Vijana, Kazi Mtaani, and all those. But I think in 1990s, this thing was there through Moi regime, but it was under public work. I remember there were some people who are maintaining the regions. They are working with hands, but they were being paid under public work, which made them to be more sustainable, because now you are working under an institution. What I'm thinking about this, or how I'm seeing it personally as Newton, we need to think on implementing many companies so that we can manufacture many things. By the time we are still importing everything, there will be no sustainability and stability in our country. For example, if you go to China, they are making everything. Even if you ask, where did you buy the pen? You will see it being provided from where? From China. If you buy even a toy, the toy that the children are playing with at home, they are all made in China. We have the plastic waste. Why can't we actually do something that we can sell for ourselves? Or we can sell to the neighboring countries, so we can, you know, by the time you export, you are making money. By the time you are importing, you are losing money. When we use this to form a small, small industry, like if you go to Kariobangi here, the light industry, they are making several things, but the government have never even think of uplifting those small companies to be big companies in a way that we can now bring money into our own people. But the way of kazi kwa vijana, the way I see it, is not a bad idea. But it's a way of taking this money from where it is and put some in my pocket and release few to those people. The elderly people are not getting their money 100%. Sometimes it comes, sometimes it's not there for 3-4 months. What do you think they are eating? If we have not stabilized the elderly money, how are you going to stabilize 6,000 per month? If we have not stabilized kazi kwa vijana, kazi mtaani, all those things, they are not there every day. They are seasonal, like seasonal rivers, which bring water in a certain month. How are we going to sustain 6,000 every month? The other side, we are saying New Kenya. How do we call it? Kenya Kwanza.
We have Kenya Kwanza,
Kenya Kwanza,
Azimio roots,
Azimio, and the Kenya Kwanza is telling us all about the kazi ni kazi. Can you be specific on what your child will do before you say kazi ni kazi? So my point to it, I'm not in any side of political arrangement. But what I'm trying to do, can we come up with one idea of that we want to build our country with building more companies so that we can employ these youths? When you being employed, I don't know if this kazi kwa vijana, they have this retirement benefit. It is not there. But when you build a company, this person will pay the NSSF. And now he's having something in mind that when I retire, there's a security money that I'm going to earn. That is more sustainable. But if you give it, if I give you 1,000 today, tomorrow, then after 1 month it's not there, like my brother has said here. Then what about when I'm sick in bed? Who will take care of my bills?
Indeed.
So before we jump into new institutions that we are campaigning of, can we maintain what we have and modify the structure so that we can have something sustainable?
And still on the same minor, looking at what we've been talking about, and of course the four presidential candidates have talked about an agenda for the youth. There's 50 billion, there's a promise of 50 billion, there's a promise of 6,000 per month, there's a promise of having single mothers at least also being taken care of by the government. But these are just that, they're just promises. Looking at kazi kwa vijana, leave alone the kazi mtaani, kazi kwa vijana, it's around 20 years old now. If it was a fund that would be empowering groups to come up with some income generating activities, it would be better vis-a-vis what we have right now. Sometimes there's kazi mtaani, sometimes the youth do not have anything to do.
You see, my brother, we have the best policies in our country. Globally acclaimed laws, globally acclaimed policies. But the challenge we have been having in our country is political goodwill. If you look at the kazi kwa vijana, as you said, it was a good program, but the office that was mandated to deal with the kazi kwa vijana misused that program. I remember the former Prime Minister, that is Raila Odinga, was to a great extent mentioned to the misappropriation of funds in that particular program. So I think going forward, we need to have patriotic leadership in our country. We need to have people who really love their people and their country. I've been saying that the challenge we have been having in this country is not about laws and policies. It's just a problem of leadership and governance. And it's a pillar that we have handled in Kenya Kwanza under our plan, so that we sort out the leadership and governance pillar, and everything is going to fall into place. Today, I've already said that we have globally acclaimed constitution. We have globally acclaimed policies. But as my brother has alluded here, the issue comes with execution of these policies and laws. The issue of execution comes with leadership styles, and the culture of character that the leader has. Because if you have a leader who doesn't love their people and the country, and even the future of that country and its people, then it means that person will be serving his or her own interest and interest only. So we need a patriotic leadership and somebody who understands the challenges that we have been having in this nation. We don't have to be talking about these programs in the next generation. Like for instance, the vision that was launched in 2008 of Vision 2030. I think going into the future, after these 8 years that are remaining to actualize the Vision 2030, we need not to be talking about some issues like leadership being a challenge in our country. We need to sort out that challenge within this span of 8 years. We don't have to have a president who comes back and says that the future government or the government that is have failed on a certain program or a certain initiative, the next government will come and sort out. Why don't you sort out when you are on the seat? You are the person who is responsible. People gave you the responsibility to sort out their problems. Don't vacate or don't surrender that responsibility to an oncoming government.
And I would like to also pick your mind on this. When it comes to, there are so many cash transfer programs, and there are so many projects. We even had the Youth Enterprise Fund. And a report, it's something we had talked with Newton here. There are so many cash transfer programs, there are so many projects that are geared towards helping the youth, the vulnerable, but they are so scattered. They are so scattered, and so you find a ministry has some cash transfer program or just some ways of helping the elderly, perhaps the youth. They are so scattered. And they say that if at all we are able to bring them together, it would increase the efficiency of how we protect these people.
You see, like my brother, I want to give you a real situation. When we are doing these campaigns, you find elderly women saying that we don't get this money, the resources that are allocated, the cash transfer for the old people, they have been held by the chief, they have been held by certain individuals. So I think, and this is what we are going to do as Kenya Kwanza and our plan, we are going to consolidate these funds. That is Uwezo Fund, Youth Enterprise Fund, Women Fund, all those kitty, and we call them the Hustler Fund. A kitty that is going to be monitored in regards to how it is helping the people. More or less like the 50 billion that the Deputy President has been talking about. Exactly. We are going to consolidate all those funds so that they have a target sector, which is now the small and medium enterprises. And the sectors are generally owned by young people and women. We don't run the risk of having the same things that we already have. We had the Youth Enterprise Fund. You see, that Youth Enterprise Fund, Uwezo Fund, and Women Enterprise Fund, and any other cash transfer program that is geared towards improving the commercial initiatives of the people, we are going to consolidate them to the 50 billion that are going to form the Hustler Fund, so that we can have the efficiency, so that we can be knowing that if Newton here or wants to improve on a certain initiative or wants to start a certain business or enterprise, he is going to go to a certain office and get that resources, and we are going to devolve them to the ward level. So the point is that we have had so many cash transfer programs, so many empowering resource-based programs, but they have been scattered across ministries. Why don't we bring them to one ministry so that we can be able to, there's some efficiency, so that at the end of the year, when the president is giving the State of the Nation report, he can give it from the point of the ministry of this particular department or this particular issue has had these resources, they have allocated to this number of people, these are the number of people who have benefited. Unlike in the current situation, you call the Minister of, maybe the Minister of Gender, and then you call the Minister of Youth, you call the Minister of treasury. They are all trying to answer questions that are regarding the allocation of resources and how those resources have been allocated to various initiatives. So we need to bring this to a singular ministry, so that that minister, when he is summoned by the parliament, he can give the status report, and also the president, when he is giving the State of the Nation report, he or she can be able to give a report based on a particular department that is anchored on a certain individual ministry.
All right, Newton, I know you are not a politician, but do you concur with what Maina is talking about? Let's bring everything together, all the funds, the youth enterprise, the women, let's bring them together. From there, we can be able to be more accountable, and it can be of more help to these people than it already is at the moment.
What Maina is saying is the correct thing to be done. But the problem is implementation. Already, we have existing government. We are not trying to start a new government. Already, we are in a government. This government has been there since independence. The problem that we are facing now is that we keep on jumping to new things. Like now, it is 3 weeks to election. We are saying there's 50 million. Where is this 50 million now? Because we are still in the same country. We are not migrating
actually, 50
from...
billion.
50 billion.
Yes.
We are not migrating from Tanzania to Kenya. We are in the same country. The people who are saying about 50 billion are in power as we speak. It's not somebody like Newton. I can talk about 50 billion if I know where I'm going to get it from the NGO world. But they're talking about 50 billion, which will come from the same government where they are the people leading in the same government. I have a different opinion. If you want to make Kenya be great again, as they said when they're doing campaign, can we now have what we have already and balance it and manage it properly? Then we see where we failed. Than telling me we have kasi kwa vijana, we have kasi mtaani, then there's 50 billion. We don't have nothing to eat today in Turkana, but we have 6,000 in the next 3 weeks. Are you getting my point? We don't have something to eat today. A widow must eat 1 meal today, and it can be only ugali and vegetable, nothing else. But we have 6,000 next month. You know, I'm not getting this. This sense is not coming up. Why don't we just bring this 6,000 now to help the situation today?
I think it's because it's just that for now
it's a political language. Number two, the things that I'm seeing, because I'm in the ground, I'm working with the less fortunate, morning to evening. That is where my office is. Whenever I wake up in the morning, I find maybe 10, 20 people waiting for me. And they have different challenges, sickness. We have the hospitals, there's no medicine. They are paying for NHIF. They have the access to be treated, but there's no medicine in the hospital to be treated with. You know, these are the daily challenges that we are having there. We have the bursary fund, and not to all the children. Every day when I wake up in the morning, I must find a woman or a man with a paper showing me the balance that they have in various schools where their children are learning. We are not addressing this. We are addressing another 50 billion. Can we address this now? We said, okay, we have been this government for all this time. I don't want to say Raila is not in the government. There was handshake. I don't want to say Ruto is not in the government. He's the deputy president. And they are the two Farasi. We don't have any other. The rest are followers. But let me tell you,
have two other contenders as well.
No, they're not going to win. We have the two who are going to win. Let me tell you, we need to centralize the way my brother said. Can we bring this all our agenda together and say Ruto is saying 50 billion, Raila is saying 6,000. 6,000 is equivalent to 50 billion. Are you getting my point?
Yes.
It's only that now it is now 6,000. But can we bring all the ideas that we have together as Kenyans and say, okay, we want to help our youth to achieve. Let me tell you, before I forget, in Kenya is where we have 80% of graduates and they don't have job. If you go to Qatar, our graduates are working at the airport cleaning the toilets. I was there 1 week ago. Maybe. If you go to Canada, they are taking all our nurses, all our doctors, they are taking everybody, even our teachers. Because we are failing to create the opportunity, and then we are saying, kazi kwa vijana, kazi mtaani. Why don't we adjust even in our schools to create more schools, because we have many children, to create the opportunity to the teachers who are just there as youths? If you go to border sector today as we speak, they are all graduates. They have degrees and they're riding motorbike with degrees here.
Okay. And because of the interest of time, let's look at partnerships. That, you know, a lot of Newton will tell you for free is that a lot of international organizations kind of do not warm up to the Kenyan idea because they know there's an issue of accountability as in terms of partnering. Because if we put all this load and pressure on the government, they will not, even if it's a Kenya Kwanza government, or the Azimio, or Wajakoya's, or Agano's government, they will not be able to deliver, and they will not protect these people who we want to protect.
You see, my brother, the essence of the Hustler Fund, I want to take you back there.
You're back at the Hustler Fund again?
Yes, the essence of the Hustler Fund.
I'm hoping it's going to bring out
it is coming back to the question of PPP, the public.
Yes, we can do some PPP.
Yes. The essence of Hustler Fund is that we inject resources at the base. Once you inject the resources at the base, you are going to expand the tax base. When you expand the tax base, it means the government will have, these people will be having, will be paying revenues to the government. Mind you, by the way, Kenyans don't have a problem with paying tax. It's only that they can't pay tax with the resources that they don't have. So this 50 billion we are going to inject to enterprises that are owned by the people. We prioritize businesses at the bottom so that we can have more opportunities for government to raise revenues from the very bottom. Unlike the current system where resources and tax incentives are only given to enterprises that are well established, top corporate institutions. You give them tax incentives, they are few, and some even evade taxes. So we want to give these resources to the bottom so that we don't have over-reliance with the foreign institutions. We don't have to do with issues to do with the loans and any other.
You don't think PPPs could assist in the situation?
PPPs comes now, public-private partnership comes with us empowering locally owned businesses.
All right.
And that's why you're going to find, if I own an IT company, I can easily partner with the government, or even partner with the government in terms of assisting it meet its plan or some of the interventions that it wants to have from a technological point of view. But you cannot have a public-private partnership if you don't have even a business, an enterprise to start with that is running a certain program. So PPPs, we need to look at them not from the foreign part of from the foreign perspective, but the local. And the local starts with empowering the local initiatives. My brother gave an example of Kariobangi. We need to mainstream those initiatives.
Okay.
We don't have to disqualify them or dismiss them as counterfeits.
Okay.
You see, for China to be where it is
because
today,
of the interest of time.
Yes. For Russia to be where it is, the society had first of all to cope up with low quality products from its own market. Okay. You empower the market, the locally
actually, it's quite a success story in China as well. Perhaps when we are winding up, you have there's something you wanted also to add on. Maybe we need to change our mindset as we wind up.
It's only because of time. But I could have told him one thing. If Jacob could have said 50 million, I will accept it. But the Kenya Kwanza has been in the government for 10 years, and the 50 million was there.
Okay, anyways, you said you're not a politician.
So in the interest of, I'm not a politician, but we are running this country together.
True.
I don't know. Let me tell you, for the interest of what we are going through now, we need to adjust our mind to think much better than how we have been thinking, to start training ourselves to make things work better. We have to go back to our farms. We have to make sure that we have enough food, because that's the only thing that will help us. You know, when I was growing, we had cassava, we had English and potato. We had all this, so we were not spending so much on buying food stuff. I'm urging my country to go back to farming and to go back to our work. Then we'll manage. But if not, we are heading nowhere.
Unfortunately, we are out of time. Perhaps 10 seconds?
Yes, 10 seconds, my brother. Let me say this. The bottom-up approach is not only an economic model, but it is also a cultural, revolutionary model. We are going to shift from the current way of doing things to a new way of doing things.
Thank you. Has been Maina Karobia, a youth leader and a political analyst as well. He's also in the Kenya Kwanza Brigade. And we also have Newton Ogada, who is not only a philanthropist, he's the director of a non-governmental organization called God Will Provide, which focuses on ensuring that the most vulnerable in the society, the orphans and the widows as well, are taken care of. Thank you so much for watching that first hour. In the second hour, we are looking at the condition autism. Yes, what do you know about it? How do we manage? How do you live with somebody who has this condition? We will be talking about that when we come back. But in the next 2 or 3 minutes, check out the winner of America Got Talent in the year 2020 during the COVID pandemic was a kid who had autism and also blind. His name is Codily. You can check that out before we have that live conversation. Thank you so much. We are continuing after these messages.
We shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party. Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Unajua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
No, my love. You have to hold on to life. You have to hold on, my love.
She is the one I wanted to get rid of, not you. My sister will still suffer a lot if you were to die.
Why do you look like that? What happened to you? Did you fall? I don't understand.
Someone tried to take something from me, but they won't succeed even with all the punches in the world.
Please, come on, madam.
You promise you won't tell anyone that my aunt is Echo from Skywall?
I won't.
Genova, can you take me with you? Aren't you afraid that when you come back, I'll already be old? Huh?
That looks like a couple of good specimens. Right. Let's capture them for our chief. Let's
Thinking about mobile China, I don't know about cosmetics, sijui nini. Kama ni biashara already mimi niko na idea. I know what to do.
Excuse me. Tunazungumza kuhusu pesa za baba.
Yesu wa kwanza kupenda na kuachwa. Lakini hapa ndani ya nyumba hatutakunywa maji wala hatutakunywa.
Sijakataliwa.
Bwana wakili. Naona mambo yamebadilika kidogo, umerudi form hivi.
Pitu ndio mekwambia nipigie simu niombe msamaha.
Forget I called. Shida gani kukataza kwenda kwa Christine usikiagi? Ona bala sasa.
Kuna mtu anakuanga side yangu kwa hii family.
Ukijana anatumia Jane vibaya sana.
You know, sometimes love can be blinding.
Unaweza ongea na yeye?
Mimi na Jane,
You know, I've always wanted a white wedding.
are you even sure you love him?
What do you know about marriage na Yakwata? haiendi vizuri. Oh, Jane, you really don't know me.
Huyu msichana vile ni bad news. Si unajua familia vizuri ama mwasahau?
Najaribu kumuelewa kakake.
Nini nilikufanya ukoleka na dada? Ulikuwa unampenda?
Bado ninampenda. Sijaiacha kupenda babako.
Na unampendea nini?
Usinisumbulie mtoto, niko na mmoja, mimi sina watoto wengine nje.
Wewe ni mtu mzima sasa.
Kwa hivyo leo na kinyangari katicho chochote ndio ufurahi, si ndio?
The gubernatorial race in Makueni County is on. Candidates are lining up to showcase their development agenda. Don't miss out this Thursday on 14th July. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 from 9:50 p.m. for a live Makueni County gubernatorial debate from Acacia Hotel, Watertown.
And now I feel like, oh, you're the reason why I'm thinking I don't want to smoke all the cigarettes no more. Still the one that I love, the only one I dream. Whoa, still the one I do. Only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go. When I hold you, it feels like heaven. Heaven surrounds me. Every time you wrap your arms around me. And there's nothing I can say.
Umefanya course gani? Ama computer engineer. Computer engineer. Yes.
Amesoma. Sasa kama yeye ni wito, mimi ndio mama, mimi ndio baba.
One week to the wedding, msichana anakuja, analia nini? Sipati kijana.
Unasema unaishi wapi kwanza wewe?
Kileleshwa.
Kileleshwa. Mimi nishikanyanga kileleshwa.
Hata unajua kileleshwa ni wapi?
Wewe mzee.
Mimi nilikuja na account nikafalisha mtoto yenu aolewe.
Sasa pre-wedding nani alienda nayo? Na wewe ulikuwa treasurer.
Alikwambia anaitwa nani?
Brian Matisia.
Lakini amekwambia yeye ni nani?
Peter Musa.
Peter Musa.
Wewe mama. Nebukadneza na Habakuku ni sisters. Basi hawa ni marafiki ya wajuani.
Hawatakuona. Hiyo yote ni yako nayo.
Haya.
Mshiriki
Kijana, he has broken the heart of my daughter.
President Uhuru Kenyatta's agenda for young people and his role as the global youth champion continues to transform many lives in Kenya.
We will continue to ensure that we level the playing field for you through education, training, and we will increase opportunities for you to be the very best of Kenya.
President Kenyatta, more than any other leader we have had, understood from day one about the central role of young people in sustainable development.
The president's agenda is on jobs, 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 jobs. Each time I speak with him, it's about jobs. It's about jobs for the young people.
لبيك اللهم لبيك لبيك لا شريك لك لبيك.
Uislamu ni usafi na hivyo basi tuwe wenye kuwa wasafi.
Lakini usafi ni miongoni mwa usafi ni kutumia maji. Unapendeza umebeba Qur'an, lakini huku kwa moyo wako wewe ni mshirikina. Basi wewe ni mchafu bado.
يا خالق السماوات والكون يا علي أكتر مني حنون.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutajifunza jinsi ya kupima mchanga na umuhimu wake kabla ya kufanya upanzi.
Wima atutembelee ndio tumueleze kama mchanga yake iko na viini mbaya zile zinaweza dhuru mumea.
Ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uondo kamili.
Welcome back. This is KBC News Check, and on the second hour, as I had told you earlier, is that we are looking at matters autism. It is indeed a condition of the brain, and those who are joining me now on set, they have had it firsthand. This is because they are not only autism champions, they are parents parents who have kids who have this condition. Let me introduce our first guest, Sylvia Mora. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
And also we have Dan Owiti.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I know it's not a well-known condition in Kenya. And your parents who live with kids who have autism, and you don't seem to have any autism at all. Perhaps we can start with you. How has that journey been?
I like the way you say that. We don't seem to have any autism.
Yeah.
It's not something that has a face for starting. You cannot tell when someone walks in, you cannot identify that they have it unless they have some of the characteristics, and they vary. So in full, it is autism spectrum disorder. That's the full definition, and it's a very wide spectrum. It's been quite an interesting journey, to say the least, because as parents, when you get a child, you expect a perfect child. And as you grow, you keep waiting for things to change until the point someone tells you you need to seek intervention. And then that's when the word autism drops, and not many people know or understand. And what happens to us is the first thing is denial. We spiral into depression, majority of us. So it will take you time before you can embrace it and all the challenges that it comes with. And every phase is a whole new lesson altogether. So every day is trying to adjust, trying to embrace, and trying to take this child who's different from the others and give them the best that you can without a manual from anywhere.
Dan, you're also a parent with a child who has autism. Tell us your experience.
I think she's really wrapped it all very well. The first one is usually a shock to a parent. My son was diagnosed on the second day of his birth. So from there, we thank God that the doctor we saw prepared us. But being prepared doesn't mean that you are really alive to the facts that are waiting for you. So it was a journey. First of all, it's a very tough journey in terms of finances, like she's told you. At 12, at 13, at 14, an autistic child would still need a caregiver. So that means that if we are in the same category with you with kids, if you don't have a kid with autism who is 12, and I have a kid with autism who is 12, your budget will be lower by not having a caretaker to take a caregiver to take care of your child. I must have one. Now then we come to the drugs. The reason why I don't want to repeat what she said, because I'm trying now to go to a different level. Now we have the drugs, especially where it is caused by cerebral palsy. You realize that there are drugs these kids will have for as long time as they can. And also the consultation fees for the doctors. And also due to the fact that you can't also not trust people with them. Like if you have an nonverbal like my son, how do you leave him in the house? How are you sure that the person you have left him with will take good care of him? How do you inspect and see that is fine? Thirdly, the way you have said, it doesn't have a face. My son is normal. If he walks in there, you will not know that he has a problem. But he's growing big. So imagine a situation where he's walking and someone cannot be able to determine that this boy has a problem and maybe comes and grabs your hand. And we are talking about a city like Nairobi. How will you react? You are being mugged.
Yes.
Without knowing that this person needs help. So that is why we took this route as a father, to talk about it and to be able to demystify some of the myths which are there, because our community is also not well informed. For instance, our culture and our traditions, most of them will brand your son or your family very funny names. Some will not even relate to you. Some do not even want to do anything to do with you.
We are going to look at those because I'm quite sure there's a myriad of challenges as parents you face, leave alone the kid, the parents themselves. Sylvia, let me get back to you. Autism is not a very well-known condition in Kenya, and as Dan has put it, it's kind of puts, makes it even harder for a person or a kid with autism to be assisted.
Yeah.
Yes.
First of all,
and there are also myths of how the kid. Yeah, Sylvia is no more, the kid is not.
So there is the cultural stigma that comes with it. There is the cultural beliefs that we have as in the African continent, and the fact that autism awareness has just begun. And if you look back in the days when people, because most people are saying this was not there before, it's not a fact of it was not there before. The level of awareness has increased, so many people are more aware. Earlier on, it would be mtoto ni mwenda wazimu, because like he said, you find a child, when we look at the milestones, they don't achieve them. We have the ones who are nonverbal, we have the ones who have variety of comorbid conditions. Comorbid conditions are things like epilepsy, coexisting conditions with autism. Yeah, you can have a child with autism plus cerebral palsy, Down syndrome and autism. And like we said, these are more of the invisible disabilities. And embracing them as a disability and also giving them the benefits that they deserve as any other person with disability is one of the things that we're also championing for. So you can imagine for you who expects that adult to walk in to have a conversation with you and they're not engaging you, the first thing you will say is, what's wrong with this person? The next thing, if you find a child who, let's say, their muscular tone is not perfect, they're drooling, you'll ask yourself, how come an adult? Why, you know? There is that judgment that we always pass as a community before we even embrace who they are or try to understand that there would be something wrong. Like I said, if the nonverbal children, some of the things, if you look at the milestones, not all of them are nonverbal, because you see that those who have intellectual disabilities, there are those who are highly talented, so you have to actually, as a parent, figure out and also try and embrace and try and push and see and identify where your child suits best. And as we said, remember when we started, it is a spectrum. When you meet one person with autism, that's one. I have 2 kids with it. They are totally different.
How old are they, if you don't mind me asking?
Andrew is turning 12 and Bradley is 11 and a half. Yeah. And they are totally, totally different, 2 totally different human beings in their socialization, in their mannerisms, there is something called stimming. Stimming is where the environment is very uncomfortable for them. So they develop behaviors like rocking their chairs, biting themselves. There are those who hit their heads. So you can imagine you walk into my house and my kid is screaming and banging his head. You'll think like he's lost it. But you see, there is that frustration that they get when they cannot communicate. I can feel something, I can do something. You can see I'm in a band.
Yes.
This is because we had an episode. He's having preteen, he's having hormonal changes. He had a meltdown that we've never seen, never experienced. He got violent, and in the process of that, I fractured my thumb. But you see, that's part of parenting. It comes without a warning, you know, and it was for a moment because he was unwell. So he cannot communicate to you that feeling, that the way your child will tell you, I'm sick, I'm running a fever, I have my throat. He was having an infection. It's something I can't tell. He was not running a fever or anything.
So he's not speaking.
And he's not speaking. No, he speaks 3 words, but he's more of a visual learner. They also learn very, very differently.
All right. And still on that, you've talked about talented, and that is why I've insisted that in 2020, the winner of America Got Talent was a kid who who's
blind and autistic.
As well. But before then, we are also following up on the political campaign trails. Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Coalition is having their campaign trail in Kwale County, led by Raila Odinga, and according to their program, they are in Kinango as we speak, but they also will be in Matuga, Lungalunga, Msambweni, and also in Likoni. But we have our very own Junei Karisa, who is keeping a keen eye on that campaign trail. Let's now cross over to Matuga.
Live from Samburu County, where the Azimio flag bearer Raila Odinga is expected here. Any moment from now, this program was supposed to start at 11 o'clock, and we are expecting Raila Odinga to arrive any moment from now to address the residents of Samburu. This is his second day today. The other cost he has been teaching camp here just to the electorate here to join in his agenda and accept some of the manifestos that the Azimio coalition is pledging to Kenyans. So today he will be transversing the county of Kwale. From here he will be proceeding to various places including Lunga Lunga, Msambweni and finally in Likoni in Mombasa County before his tour for Mombasa County starts tomorrow. Now, one of the biggest bone of contention here, some of the issues that are prevailing at the coast right now is the land question that he managed to address while in Taita Taveta County yesterday. He assured that through his appointment, if elected, of his appointment with of Hassan Ali Joho as the lands minister, will resolve most of the land question issues that the residents are battling with. This, of course, we expect to be reverberated across the coastal region, across the counties that he will be traversing this week while he is pitching camp here. Here in Kwale County, it's more or less a same script, and we'll be expecting to hear from him what kind of goodies or what kind of promises he will be addressing the residents of Samburu County. So we are expecting him any moment from now. Of course, he is accompanied by leaders from this place, and he is expected to talk about the land question, the joblessness rate that some of the residents are battling here at the coast. Tomorrow he is in Mombasa County, and the day after he will be in Kilifi County. And in Mombasa County, he will be talking, of course, about the port issue. This has been a very sensitive issue that his opponents have been talking about while visiting the region. So we will be expecting him to talk about that issue and expect some promises to be made as to how the port operations will be restored in Mombasa County. So today we are waiting for him, and as soon as he lands, we will be giving you live proceedings from this place. From here we will be heading to Lunga Lunga constituency and then head to Likoni sub-county of Mombasa County, where he will be addressing the residents. So let's wait and see after the 4 days, will his visit have yielded fruits these 4 days that he will have pitched here. But of course we have seen the reception that he is receiving. He received in Taita Taveta County, and today we will be keeping a close eye to see the kind of reception he receives here in Kinango's constituency in Samburu County. Back to you, Ben Trainjue, as we wait for the arrival of
Indeed, thank you so much, June Karisa. They are following up on the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition campaigns. There, of course, the principals are yet to make their speeches, and we'll be crossing over there to actually hear what they have to say. But some of the things that June has been able to gather is that people are expectant there, in expecting what the Azimio promising them, and especially in the campaign trail, looking at the coastal region being one of the areas that we have the emotive land question, is some of the things that they are waiting to hear how the Azimio government will tackle it, if at all they assume power, and also on the high cost of living. Just in case you joined us, this is KBC News Check. On this hour, we are looking at matters autism and how to manage it. And I'm privileged to have two parents who have kids with autism. And earlier on, we were just trying to get a feel of how hard or how they are able to manage and be able to live with them and try as much as possible to help them grow. And coming to you, Dan, it was quite touching what you guys have to go through each and every day. Now, looking at how people view autism in Kenya, Sylvia has had an episode, and it's not the first episode, right?
Yeah, we go. It's our life. It's
and there's this question, is that you feel that the kid is okay when you are there, or you have a caregiver, just as you said, but they have to go to school. That's a whole new challenge.
Exactly.
Kindly.
Now, before I go to school, I want us to have the trail of thought of the general community. Number one, what about your neighbors? How supportive can they be? How many parents can go and talk to their neighbor and explain to them what is going through and how to accept that child? How are they going to view you? Some will actually, if you are in a rented house, they will vacate and go look for another house. Number two, another big community which I am really working with currently is the church. Why? When people are low, they seek solace in church. Are the pastors really knowledgeable about this? They may not be. What about the ushers? Like the situation she had. If that was in the church, what could have happened? Being thrown away. Yes. And some of the churches do not even have the idea, even the pastors. I was having a conversation with a pastor 2 weekends ago. I'm currently doing a training in their church for the ushers to be able to handle children with special needs. And he told me, honestly, Dan, I have lost people without knowledge. Why? Because you find this boy is in church and is not looking at you. First of all, they don't look at you. They avoid eye contact. Then is now nonverbal. But when you look at him, he looks well. So what goes into your mind first is, huyu ni kichwa ngumu. Even though maybe anafanya kwa nyumba. So it comes back to the parent. Hujalea mtoto vizuri. Without going to the background. So I've been really working closely with the churches just to be able to make sure that they understand. Some are now embracing it. Some are actually creating special rooms for sensory integration so that the kids can feel okay. The third important part is also the transport, the public transport. How hard is it for you to use a matatu with your son?
I don't. It's
they will throw you out. You can't think about it because first of all, this boy is sensitive to noise. And the matatu wants to put that voice up there. Now you are in a disco and he has a problem with the lights and sound. Do you know it takes the grace of God to even have one understanding conductor to tell you to understand and go and tell the driver, reduce the voice. So first of all, the transport is now something that we are really trying to talk even to the matatu owners. I have written a letter to the Matatu Owners Association just to be able to sensitize them. Then now, I thank God, but this is also another time for campaign. The Nairobi city. How friendly are the streets? They are not. If you have someone on a wheelchair and want to try and help them within the city, it becomes a problem because there are potholes everywhere, number one. Number two, the trenches are open. So it's likely that someone can fall. Now, if you have a child who has that problem and he runs,
because it's a characteristic.
It's a characteristic, yes.
Escapism.
So they will try to escape. When he escapes and he falls into that ditch, who do you even sue? How do you even begin? How do you even begin? Yes. What about the people around you? How are they going to think? Actually, the first thing that has actually happened to me is I have been confronted by people when my son had a meltdown, and they thought, no, you might have kidnapped this kid. Until he came down. Yes, my son. You don't understand. That's why we are really talking. That's why we are really talking and coming out and telling them, listen, we are handling issues here that you don't know. So you go to the supermarket with your son, and then he gets a meltdown. It's another something altogether. So what we are saying is we are trying to talk to the society, not to be very quick to act, rather to have 1 minute to ask what is going on. When someone asks you that question, then you can tell him, please help me calm him down. Because the most efficient way to handle meltdown is just to hold them for some time until they come back down. Then they will just now go on with the activities. But at that time, and I really do sympathize with Mora, because if you're having double or of the same, yes, I really do sympathize. And I really thank God for the strength she has and the grace she has, that she has been able to manage. And so when I come to school, we have special schools. But the challenge which are there in the special schools, especially the government one, is how even to assess the child and to give the child a proper assessment. because most of the time they will group all of them together without attending to the specific needs. So most of us, we end up resorting to homeschooling. So we take our time to study, read the books, consult people.
To become a teacher.
Exactly.
An untrained one, for that matter.
And a therapist.
And a therapist,
well.
yes.
Because let me just touch on education a bit, because that's very close to me. I sit at KICD, and it's one of the ways I'm hoping in the academic committee to see that we are able to integrate and make some change in that. And they, first of all, they don't learn like any other child. And they're all different in how. You have a tactile learner, a visual learner, and an audio learner. If you're lucky, you'll have the ones who, depending on the spectrum, the one who can actually just learn like any other. And when we have also the ones who have intellectual disabilities, you have the dyslexic ones, you have the ones with dysgraphia. So, as you mentioned, the EAC centers. EAC is early identification and assessment centers, where you take this child, understand their capabilities, then you let's call it prescribe, or rather advise on where they're better placed, which school, which institution, and those ones are supposed to be there. And the shocking statistics, let me tell you, in Nairobi with over 10,000 students, we only have 2 at an office where you will walk in and either you will find it empty. You know, these are feedback from parents. For me, we work with parents, and these are the things. We have a school. I did equipping of Kasarani Primary School Autism Unit, which was a dump site. Refurbished it last year, put in a therapy center, because we're also trying to champion for inclusion of therapy. The same way other kids have PE. Why can we not have therapy centers in the classroom? Me as a parent, I don't have to leave my job 2 to 3 times a week to take my child for therapy. Why can't it be part of what it is they're doing in school? As you said, they're crowded. The international standard is 1 to 5. 2 teachers to 5, 1 teacher and a support teacher, because you find that those ones who need toilet training, who need that support, that those who are still on diapers. Remember, it's a spectrum in anything we say. So there is all these kinds. I walked into one school, and in that school I found 35 students with autism, mental challenges, cerebral palsy, dyslexic, and you have 2 teachers. So how are they going to give that integration, that one-on-one attention, so that this child learns the way they need to learn? And that's why you find we're pushing for equity. Equity, not equality. We're talking about understand my child. If my child is more of an electronic learner, let us give them that. If it's a tactile
more or less
learner,
like a CBC for them.
Exactly, yes. CBC is good. But then you see we are doing it there. But in the special units, we're not giving them the equipment. So what's the essence? You understand?
Yeah.
Yes, if you put me in a class, you say, we're talking about integration right now. Our government is going through integration, where we are saying that let's not seclude special units, but if you go to any school, special unit is at the corner on their own. All right? So I have seen that happening in schools, and we've seen schools that have tried to do integration, and they do very well. Some lessons specialized, and some with others. And then now you're helped to integrate, because these special kids will not come to a special world when they grow up.
Yes.
They will not go to play in a corner that is secluded for special children. They need to play with others. So if we don't make our environment, if we don't change our mindset to embrace them and embrace who they are, and also teach our own children. Remember, disability is not something we signed up for.
Yes.
Disability is a club anyone can join any day. You can walk out, get hit, get mental injury, and you will end up in the same situation. And that's what people don't understand. You're a parent, you will give birth. You have no idea, you know, because it's not something, as of now, no one knows what causes autism. Nobody knows. It's just, we are suspecting it is a gut issue. We are suspecting it is genetics. We are suspecting, it's just hypothesis as of now, what we think and what we suppose it could be at this point and at this point. Even I was very shocked when he says at birth, because if you look at the intervention and identification rate here, we are currently at least 4 years. Before it used to be 7, when the brain is already grown. So you can't help them. If you look at all these other interventions, they say the early years, because remember it is a neuro meaning brain development disorder. that is what it is. That is what autism is, which depending on which area of your brain that gets affected during the process of delivery, birth, and conception, etc., during that time, or even after. There are those who said they've acquired autism after. My child was normal, one day, boom, something happened. So no one can quite pinpoint. All we can do is just take precautions and embrace as they come and try and understand. And I know there are very many parents at this point who are wondering, what are we talking about? And how do they get to know and identify?
And it's a good thing that you have at least a few steps ahead. Let me go back to Dan. And looking at Kenya itself, you've talked about the infrastructure that we have, the buildings. I can say for free is that I've done a lot of articles on people with disability, and looking at buildings, you find there are no ramps, you know, just stairs, no perhaps elevators for people who have disabilities. And it's a good thing that some institutions have started to embrace that and making things easier for people with a disability. We have we have an association, Autism Association of Kenya. What are some of the steps that they have done that actually actualized the vision that you guys have, to have a society that knows about, are willing to help, and are helping?
Now, number one is that most of these organizations that you'll find related to autism are either championed or have people who have experienced autism firsthand. Because the truth of the matter is, if you are going just to learn and study about it, it's not going to work very well for you. You must have something in you that will push you out of your comfort zone to be able to say, I want to talk about this thing, or I want to do something about it. So the Autism Association of Kenya has done a bit. They've done a good awareness. They've been here. They've done several interviews here and elsewhere. And they're working on diet. They're working on training of parents of kids with disability. They're also working on forming support groups, which we are one of those support groups which we are coming up very strongly. But besides that fact, you realize that when Kenya was upgraded to a middle income country, most of the funds were really, donors went away. So who is the current donor? It has to come either from Treasury or from the government or another arm of the government, which has not been very well forthcoming. So most of us have actually had to dig deep into our pockets to be able even to carry out this awareness, to talk to people about it, because one, we would like our children to be understood. The reason why we are doing this is not even to have anything, but our child to be understood. Such that if Miles walk in here and I tell you is autistic, and he goes and he grabs the red cable because they love colors, then you will handle him with care. You will not be like, okay, this and this and this. And the way she said, you don't know at what point you can be able to, you can acquire the problem. So if tomorrow one of you falls into that category, how do you go about it? So diagnosis will be very important, and that is what most people don't understand. Thirdly, because of the myths surrounding it. I did an interview 2 weeks ago at TV 47, and from that day I have received more than 40 calls from parents with children who are autistic, but they can't come out. They can't talk about it. Some, especially ladies, will tell you, mzee aliniacha. Even the meeting I was in yesterday, I was meeting a group of ladies with children with special needs. We were only 2 men, and I was the only male parent. The other man was there for business. So you realize that it becomes so frustrating for ladies that most men are not supporting. So we came up with this organization. We are actually 3 families, and all of us are fathers saying, no, these are our children. We're going to walk this route with them, and we have to see them successful and being able to lead a normal life. So that has been going on, and the first place you always start is your next door. So we talk to our next door neighbors, we talk to people in our churches and groups which are formed, and we are also hoping that a serious program, we can be able to come up with a serious program, like maybe just a talk show on TV, probably once a week or twice in a week, where we just talk about matters, autism, and integration, so that the general public is aware that this situation is there and they can be able to help. Because there are also people out who would like to walk with us this journey, but they don't know how. They also don't know what they're going through, you see. So we have to come and we have to talk about it.
Yeah. And perhaps, Mora, you can also chip in with that. What are some of the other interventions that you have seen being made either by the government or other stakeholders, and what more should be done? Because the first thing I've realized is that in Kenya, matters disability are not quite clear. You know, even the media, we have this mistake of saying people living with disabilities, and they live with their kids, their parents, their friends, their wives, their spouses.
So you're adding a family member called disability.
Yeah, so you're adding, now we are living with disability here. And we need to change that narrative, right?
Yes, true. Very, very
What are some of the interventions that you have seen, or what more could be done? Because we have to change the perception first.
Okay.
And that is exactly what you guys are doing.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take that way back. And like he said, it is us parents who have had to stand up. See, for me, I had to stand up when I founded Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons. That was walking the journey. You get so frustrated with the health system, education system, social protection, and you come out. And I can tell you, the minute I remember when, for me, the turning point was during COVID, when COVID hit, and I came out strongly and I put my children out. That this is, sorry, I know it's a competitor, but yeah, it was on Citizen TV News that this is how we live. And that is when, if I looked at my Facebook and phone calls, my own friends did not understand what I was going through. You know, they had no idea. Because he said it is difficult. As much as someone will come and tell you, I understand, people do not understand. So for me, I made the choice to sacrifice privacy, to put them out there so that you can have a face of, when I say autism, you're just not trying to figure, this is it. And I talk about it every day. Today we are in hospital, today we are having an EEG, tomorrow we're having issues with school, we had seizures. I remember there is a day...
You made use of social media to the fullest.
To raise awareness. And even if us coming together, most of us it's through social media. When there is something for parents, we all jump into social media, WhatsApp groups that we have formed, and that way we try and support each other, because like I said, the spectrum is so wide that if you don't have someone else, you just look out for who has gone through this, give me some support, you know. So we've seen so many of our organizations and our support groups come together to try and alleviate. There is also that stigma and being left alone. I know even going to church, you can't go to church. We actually there is one of the support groups that has a forum where on a Saturday you come just adults and worship. You're a parent, you want to, but you know, I can sit with my child, they have a meltdown, they decide they're going to run to the front, and everyone will judge me. I'd rather stay at home and watch TV, watch church through TV, because people are not understanding. For example, Andrew fidgets, he steams. Steaming is that behavior they acquire to try and calm themselves now, so that they are able to cope with the environment. Remember, the environment really, really matters, and depending also with their level of sensitivity. Remember, they see things differently, they hear things differently, they feel things differently. There are textures, clothes they can't wear, you know. There is food textures they can't stand. Then there is lights that can even cause the epileptic seizures, you know. There are flickering lights, and that's something for media, they always have to put that disclaimer. Yeah, you know, if it's a program that it's a requirement. But you know, people don't take it.
Even how many media houses are doing that?
Exactly, how many are? You know, because for me, my son might be watching and the next thing they're having a seizure. And depending on how severe that seizure is, it can kill them. Let's be factual. We cannot even, he mentioned medicine. We are on daily meds. I'm on 30,000 per month medication.
Actually, that was supposed to be my next question. It's hard for everyone.
It is.
Right now.
People say people with disability are poor. It's actually, disability is very expensive. Very, very expensive. you know. So those challenges is where now we try and come together. I remember we had during COVID, we came together as an organization and tried to support other parents by supplying medicine for like 1 month, because everyone lost their job, had to stay at home, could not go see therapists. So we had to come up with programs where they're able to come together. We bring in specialists to train them how to do things from home, because sometimes you'll find there is a parent who cannot afford to pay for therapy every other day. Because you can tell me that I need therapy 3 times a week, and at the same time, that therapy, there is those very subsidized ones that are accessible. Then there is other hospitals where it's between 1,400 to 5,000 per session. Wow. And you tell me I need 3.
In a week.
Yes, that's why we're saying, can they be integrated in the school? Let it be. So will I do school?
Really champions.
You know, what do you pay for? What do you give up? If they don't take medicine, you're risking. If they don't take supplements for meals, it's something else. So if a special needs parent gives you their budget, it can be very, very overwhelming. And I will just take a shift. I sit at the National Council, the board for the National Council. It's as a representative for the neurodiverse community. One thing I can say, because we mentioned government, all this advocacy we have done, at least finally someone is listening. Finally, we actually have a budget for the neurodiverse. Starting
after so many
year,
years.
After so many years of fighting and writing petitions and doing survey, because I remember we did the data during COVID as an organization, as Andy speaks, just asking how much is your school fees, how much is your medical, how much is therapy. And if you look at a parent's budget, yet like you said, 80% of us were left. I've also been a single parent. I've just been lucky enough to I got engaged like 2 weeks ago, you know, and it takes, thank you very much, but it takes a very strong man to actually stand up, because there is also culture when they say, and the ratio, let's talk of the ratio, the ratio of 1 girl to 4 boys. I have 3 boys. He has a boy. Autism affects more of the boys.
Yes.
And they also say there is where that the girls know how to hide it more. That's why we're also focusing on identifiers and assessment, so that we are able to catch it. This could also
help in research, right?
Yeah. So you find that at least we are seeing a good trajectory towards that. But what we're championing for also is, I am a parent. You're giving 5% of a GPO. Some of our children will never get employed. First of all, our education system transition is non-existent. You're talking about CBC 100% transition. What about our kids? After class 8, don't they grow up to be adults? Why can't we set up vocational centers in all the secondary schools, so that we have that, the way you have a special unit in primary, as much as you will write them off that they will not be able to do all that. You gave the example of Kodidi. He's so good in music. Why? Because they had the resources to embrace, identify the talent and nurture it to that level that he's now an icon. But what do we do with our kids? Huyo ni kumbavu, achana na yeye, haezi shika kitu yoyote. You know, we get branded. We feel the pain on behalf of our children. That's the sad reality. We take in, we are like,
you have to
this cushion that whatever because they're so pure of heart. If you meet them, if you spend time with them and see, trust you me, the level of emotional intelligence. For me, if you walk in, I will not look at you as a stranger. I look at my son. How he treats you will inform me how true, how sincere of a person you are.
All right. Dan, perhaps you can chip in with that, because looking at what the government has been, at least it's a good thing that your efforts are finally being recognized, and at least something is being done, because we've seen in developing countries, sometimes things take a very long time, because the first thing is to demystify the condition and try to manage it yourself, and then you have to go out there.
Exactly.
Now, let's go to the finances, because it's quite hard for everyone. And now you have to have a caregiver. Right now, you two already have a caregiver.
Yeah, of course.
Despite the fact that you still have meds, you still have to go to work, you still also have to be a parent, and this kid has to go to school.
And pay rent.
Exactly.
pay for everything at
And
the same cost
as
which
everyone
someone else is paying. So there is no exemption that, okay, I have a child with special need. There is nowhere that I'll walk in and I'll be given a consideration. So those are the facts that we are bringing to the table. We
Even
are saying,
tax relief.
Even tax relief. I had to write a letter.
That is what I
just
wanted to
asking.
Because we see there's KDPA. And at the end of the day, it's election year, but at the end of the day, we need champions who will voice this. You have some of the senators, Gertrude Musuve. We also have Tim Wanyonyi, who is the chairman of KDPA. And that is the Kenya Parliamentarian Association. Just trying to clear that out. There are some of the institutions that could be championing for more allocation, both in the national and
county levels.
County levels.
Yes. So, like we were talking, we were saying a person with a disability has that tax relief. But when this person is your child, what happens to you?
Yes,
because now it is you who is going through the trauma on behalf of your son.
And the government says
it has to be there.
And he cannot work. At that time he cannot work. So why can't you give me that tax relief? So that the amount that is relieved on my pay can go towards his medicine. I was at one of the hospitals and I wanted to get his drugs. His drugs cost me 18,000 per month. And NHF just told me, we're not covering for those drugs. And I asked them, listen, so who should you be covering? Someone taking Panadol and maybe once in 2 months, and my son who is constantly, morning and evening, who needs this medicine to be under insurance? Why do I need to go and look for a third-party insurance, and yet NHIF takes care of you 100%? Why can't they say, for this kind of medicine, we have this kind of concession? You see.
Let me ask you, you mentioned insurance, third party. Have you been welcomed with open arms at an insurance?
Let me tell you that what we are discussing
without extra terms and conditions that you look at and you ask yourself, why am I taking insurance? This is what you're giving me.
The first 2 months when my son was born, we spent 1.8 million in the hospital. Trust me, you had your savings there, now you are begging. That's why she said it's very expensive. Tomorrow, someone sees you with a car today, tomorrow you don't have it because you probably have to sell it, give it out to be able to cover for your own, for your child. Or maybe he falls sick. Like right now, the flu that has been going on. So you realize that he cannot tell you that he has a problem. You as a parent, you must sit down, look at them, figure it out. And sometimes you go to a physician who is also not very well knowledgeable about being able to handle them. One doctor once told me, suniambie tu. I told him, no, you have to assess him, look at him, so that you can be able to see what is going on. So it took us, something which would have taken us 30 minutes, took us 2 hours. And that is because the boy was also having one of those bad days. So I also had to sit there. Looking at that situation, you are also expected to be at work. And if you are not at work, your boss has your case. So we are going through a myriad of issues. Some of them we cannot be able to explain to you to understand fully. But we are saying that information has to be out there at any given time.
Now, still on the same, we are looking at you two as parents of children with autism. I've had a 1.8 somewhere, I've had a 30,000 per month somewhere, I've had a 18,000. Let's look at the situation in counties like Turkana, in West Pokot, in the northern frontier, and some of the poor counties that we have in the country. The situation is a little bit dire.
It's the same.
And these people need this help. And at the end of the day, they will always get help from the government if at all everything is moving from the legislation to the policies. That is when they can only get help.
Yes.
And we are just hoping that it will not be only in Nairobi, because we don't have such schools in Turkana, in West Pokot, in other counties. The situation is quite dire.
let me talk about devolution at this point. And we are in the, like you said, it is the political season, and Kenya is ranked according to one of the best policies when it comes to disability. Actually, we are signatories to SDGs, to UNCRPDs, but we have paper. I cannot take that paper and claim for service at my county level that the government has signed.
I demand.
No, you saw. Last week, the president ascended the Children Rights Act. Act, which says free services for children with disabilities. You tell me if I walk in and I tell you the president said, do you know how I'll be treated? So we are very good with policies written down. The challenge is, how are we with implementation? Who do we run to? As I said in the council, the one thing I can tell you for free is that we have the policies, we have all these things, but it's like a dog that does not have teeth. If it's an issue with the Ministry of Education, I can only point out, oh, ministry, this is supposed to be done, but who is keeping them accountable? If it's the Ministry of Health, like we said, NHIF, NHIF will just tell you, no, we can't. They cater for cancer. Why can't our therapy services be catered for? Why do I have to pay for therapy from my pocket? Yet it is that therapy that will be an intervention for my child to live a near normal life, to become a citizen who's going to be productive. If and only if we have early intervention, the right time, the right way, in the right manner. Not throwing them in a room and saying, oh, checkbox. You know, there is always that thing. Even if you look at our institutions, when you're talking about disability matters, they will tell you 24 hours prior to the meeting that, oh, we need people to come talk about disability. You're just ticking your box. Who will be able to cancel everything and run and do that? Because that's one of the challenges that we face as advocates for special needs. You find there is a meeting being called, you're only learning about it in like, what do you call this? The night before. That is as last week, a night before. So if I have my day, I'm supposed to dump everything and run. You see? So you're put in a place where you have to keep trying to weigh what is the best way to handle this? How is the best way to do this? One, without losing my job. Because remember, we have day jobs as advocates. We don't get paid, you know, when we're doing all these things. It's because we're just trying to make a better future for our children. We're trying to come together, raise our voices, and hope that someone will hear. And all these beautiful written policies will somewhat come to be implemented. Because the fact is, in Samburu, that child will get that convulsion. They don't know what it is. The child will die, and they move on with their lives. You know?
Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you 2 minutes each. This conversation, you can have this conversation. I'm quite passionate about matters of people with disability, but allow me, as you compose your minds, 2 minutes each. Let me say, Stanley Opio, say well done. Mwacha Isaac, you say tuned in. Masicute, you say tuned in. All ears on you guys. Let's try help our own society by our own solutions. I think it's because of what you're saying. We have the best policies, we have the best written. But when it comes to the actualization,
we don't have it.
Tuned in for Komani, I say thank you, Sharifa K. Chokocho. But because of the interest of time, let's first of all have your 2 minutes, kindly.
2 minutes practical, 2 minutes or 30 seconds.
All right.
Okay, so generally what we would call upon the society, let's have inclusion, let's have integration. If you're my neighbor, my son is screaming the roof down. I had that for like 7 days. No one came to check in. At least no one chased me out. We had a parent in Nakuru who called. She's been moving, she can't move anymore because of her child. Let's learn to embrace. Let's not be very judgmental. You don't know what someone is going through at that point in life. Check in. If you don't see that child, you know, we had a case where the parent died, the child followed because no one knew this child was nonverbal. No one cared. Let's go back to they belong to the community. We are a community. We're going so much on this West Side thing that we are losing our core values of living together in unity. We're trying so hard to run away from the sole thing that made us as Africans one of the most admirable cultural, you know, society and embodiment. To my government and all those who want to become leaders, let's be true leaders. Let disability be a fact you consider at the beginning of everything. Let it be at the back of your mind. Inclusion, inclusion, inclusion.
Are you shocked that we are looking at manifestos and we are only...
They're not
everything
there.
else is just swept under the carpet?
Of course.
It's just a mention.
And it's just a mention because it is a requirement.
And they want
and
the
that's what I'm saying.
votes
Thank
from
you.
the same people.
You're doing a checkbox. Check your conscience. Because I am a parent. Yeah, my child might not be able to vote, but I am a parent. I have a right to say. I can tell you for free, there are people we invited to support our project, and they did not see value because it was special needs. But I am the value. You're focusing on my child. I am the value. You know, if we were to rally as parents, we have a very, very massive voice. So I'd like to encourage that parent who's sitting there and thinking the world is going to come to an end. We get God's grace to run through this. Believe and embrace your child for who they are, not the child that you are hoping they could be. Give them an opportunity to thrive.
Well put. Yeah. Well put. Well put. Not the child that we envision as parents, but the kid that we have. Done.
Wow. Like she said, it's a journey and a half. The walk you'll take in 30 seconds, I'll do that in probably 20 minutes because it's a special journey. Number one is that our kids are special to us. So most of the time you branded them, you actually end up branding us. So we are talking to the community and telling them, listen, this is here to stay with us. So you must also be prepared to stay with us. Now, the other reason why we are doing this is we are not going to live forever. Tomorrow I might go to be with the Lord. But does my neighbor know about my child? My cousins, do they know about my child? Do they know, are they educated enough or enlightened enough to be able to live with that child? So we are putting that word out there. And finally, because this issue has affected mostly mothers, we are coming up as men. And we are saying we have to stand with our children. And that culture of saying mtoto ni wa mama has to come to an end, and we have to say this child is ours, both of us. You have to walk your route, I have to walk my route, and make sure that our child is supported.
Thank you so much.
With all that, we are still coming up, we are still a small group, but I can give my contact.
Yes, by all means.
So for support and to be able just to talk with families and to be able to bring them together, my name is Dan Owiti. You will get me on 0723.
Camera is this one?
0723 10 30 50. My name is Dan Owiti.
You have a Facebook fan page?
We are working on that, and the organization is coming up. We know within the next 1 month we'll be able to run everything.
Sylvia, contacts Andy Speaks.
Sylvia Moramo Chabo, founder Andy Speaks for Special Needs Persons. Same on Facebook, LinkedIn, on Twitter and IG is at Andy Speaks. And personal, Sylvia Moramo Chabo, recently acquired Ankinsiku. And our number is 0734 635274. And we also have WhatsApp, so you can reach out. On social media, we respond, we guide you, and support where we can.
Indeed, let's reach out, parents, people, even politicians. They are all
especially politicians,
because we need to change that narrative. There's no point of having very good laws and policies, but we cannot implement them, and these are our own kids. Thank you so much indeed for watching. My name is Ben Troy Njoe. I can see Nancy Okware on standby. She's coming up with Kurunzi, Mashinani, and Tamrini. But for me and Lucy Mwaura, who has been our sign language interpreter, we call it a day. But we can continue this conversation on social media in any way. Just make the world better. And speaking of that, congratulations for your engagement. And check out Cody Lee. He has so many talents, and he's a kid with a myriad of challenges and multiple disabilities.
We actually have some in Kenya. There is a child I met who actually you just say, I was born on this date, they tell you which day it was.
All right. Thank you so much for making time, and all the best.
Thank you very much.
we shall legalize weed.
Professor George Luchiri Wajakoya of the Roots Party.
Semeni Baba Kea. Baba Kea.
Raila Amolo Odinga of the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Party.
Najua mimi sina pesa ya serikali ama ya kashfa.
David Mwaure Wahiga of the Agano Party. And
hakuna kura ya hasla mtaiba.
William Samoei Ruto of the Kenya Kwanza Alliance. Presidential Debate 2022. Do not adjust your sets.
Thinking about Mumbai, China. I don't know about cosmetics, sijui nini. Kama ni biashara already mimi niko na idea. I know what to do.
Excuse me. Tunazungumza kuhusu pesa za baba.
Yesu wa kwanza kupenda na kuachwa. Lakini hapa ndani ya nyumba hatutakunywa maji wala tutakunywa.
Sijakataliwa. Bwana wakili. Mambo yamebadilika kidogo, umerudi form hivi.
And now I feel like you're the reason why I'm thinking I don't wanna smoke all the cigarettes no more. Still the one that I love, the only one I dream. Whoa, still the one I need. Only need the light when it's burning low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go.
When I hold you, it feels like heaven surrounds me. Every time you wrap your arms around me, and there's nothing I can say.
The gubernatorial race in Makueni County is on. Candidates are lining up to showcase their development agenda. Don't miss out this Thursday on 14th July. Tune in to KBC Channel 1 from 9:50 p.m. for a live Makueni County gubernatorial debate from Acacia Hotel, Watertown.
Pitu ndio mekwambia nipigie simu niombe msamaha.
Forget I called. Shida gani kukataza kwenda kwa Christine usikiagi? Ona bala sasa.
Kuna mtu anakuanga side yangu kwa hii family.
Ukijana anatumia Jane vibaya sana.
You know, sometimes love can be blinding.
Unaweza ongea na yeye?
Mimi na Jane,
you know, I've always wanted a white wedding.
Are you even sure you love him?
What do you know about marriage na yako hata haiendi vizuri?
Oh, Jane, you really don't know me.
Huyu msichana vile ni bad news. Si unajua familia vizuri ama mwasahau?
Najaribu kumuelewa kakake.
Nini nilikufanya ukolekana dada? Ulikuwa unampenda?
Bado ninampenda. Sijaiwa cha kupenda babako.
Na unampendea nini?
Usinisumbulie mtoto, niko na mmoja, mimi sina watoto wengine nje.
Wewe ni mtu mzima sasa.
Kwa hivyo leo na kinyangari kati chochote ndio ufurahi, si ndio?
President Uhuru Kenyatta's agenda for young people and his role as the global youth champion continues to transform many lives in Kenya.
We will continue to ensure that we level the playing field for you through education, training, and we will increase opportunities for you to be the very best of Kenya.
President Kenyatta, more than any other leader we have had, understood from...
Uislamu ni usafi na hivyo basi tuwe wenye kuwa wasafi.
Lakini usafi ni miongoni mwa usafi ni kutumia maji. Unapendeza umebeba Qur'an, lakini huku kwa moyo wako wewe ni mshirikina. Basi wewe ni mchafu bado.
يا خالق السماوات والكون يا علي أكتر مني حنون.
Umefanya course gani? Ama computer engineer. Computer engineer.
Sasa kama yeye ni wito, mimi ndio mama, mimi ndio baba.
One week to the wedding, msichana anakuja, analia nini? Sipati kijana.
Unasema unaishi wapi kwanza wewe?
Kileleshwa.
Mimi nishaikanyanga Kileleshwa.
Hata unajua Kileleshwa ni wapi?
Wewe mzee.
Mimi nilikuja na account nikafalisha mtoto yenu aolewe.
Pesa pre-wedding nani alienda nayo? Na wewe ndio ulikuwa treasurer.
Alikwambia anaitwa nani?
Brian Matisia.
Lakini amekwambia yeye ni nani? Peter Musa.
Wewe mama. Nebukadneza na Habakuku ni sisters. Basi hawa ni marafiki ya wajuani.
Hawatakuona.
Hiyo yote ni yako nayo.
Haya.
Kijana, he has broken the heart of my daughter.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutajifunza jinsi ya kupima mchanga na umuhimu wake kabla ya kufanya upanzi.
Wima atutembelee ndio tumueleze kama mchanga yake iko na viini mbaya zile zinaweza dhuru mumea.
Ungana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa uondo kamili.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general election.
Naam, hujambo mtazamaji popote pale ulipo, natumai ya kwamba umzima. Karibu sana kwenye kipindi cha Kurunzi Mashinani, tukuambie tu ama tukueleze baadhi ya taarifa ambazo tumekuandalia kufikia sasa. Mie naitwa Nancy Okware, na basi leo hii tunaanza na taarifa kuhusiana na masuala ya afya, na ni kwamba waziri wa afya Mutahi Kagwe amesisitiza kwamba serikali ya kitaifa imejitolea katika kusaidia serikali za kaunti katika kuendesha miradi yao kikamilifu. Kagwe alisema licha ya swala la afya kuwa jukumu la kila kaunti, kuna haja ya serikali zote mbili kufanya kazi pamoja ili kuhakikisha kwamba wananchi wamepata huduma kikamilifu na ipasavyo. Waziri wa afya Mutahi Kagwe alifanya ziara katika hospitali ya matibabu maalum ya kaunti huko Nyahururu. Ni katika hospitali hiyo ambapo Kagwe alitoa wito wa kufanya kazi pamoja baina ya serikali za kaunti na ile ya kitaifa ili kuimarisha hali ya kiafya kwa Wakenya.
Health is a devolved function.
Wapi?
And therefore, we must work very closely with the county government in ensuring that health is properly taken care of within the county government administrations.
Waziri Kagwe alisema pesa zinazokusanywa na hospitali na vilevile kupitia bima ya kitaifa ya afya zinafaa kutumika katika hospitali na si kuwekezwa katika miradi mingine.
We are also asking that the county government agrees on a check-off system for the KEMSA debts so that at any time, if the county government owes KEMSA money is offset before the total amount allocated to counties is given.
Wakati huo huo, serikali kwa ushirikiano na mamlaka ya usambazaji dawa nchini pamoja na hazina ya kimataifa ya Umoja wa Mataifa kuhusu dharura kwa watoto imeidhinisha kupelekwa kwa vyakula vyenye madini ya kutosha kwa kaunti 4 ambazo zimeathiriwa na ukame ili kukabiliana na ukosefu wa chakula kwa watoto. Vyakula hivyo ambavyo vimeandaliwa tayari kwa ulaji vinagharimu zaidi ya shilingi milioni 30 na vitapelekwa katika kaunti za Turkana, Mandera, Wajir na Isiolo.
Persistent food insecurity has contributed to a dire and deteriorating nutrition situation with about 942,500 children aged between 6 and 59 months, urgently in need of therapeutic treatment for acute malnutrition.
Providing these foods has reversed stunted growth and development due to chronic lack of essential nutrients in diets of thousands of children in these areas.
These life-saving nutritional commodities complement the UK's support that we already give for cash payments to affected households through the World Bank and the National Drought Management Authority.
We, including non-humanitarian actors, need to step up and dig deep to scale up interventions to meet urgent needs on food security and nutrition, and the UK will continue to play its part.
Na mtazamaji, tukiendelea ni kwamba serikali ya kaunti ya Laikipia imeanza kusambaza pesa za kufadhili masomo wakati shule na taasisi mbalimbali za elimu zinaendelea kufunguliwa. Msaada huo wa kima cha shilingi milioni 35 utasambazwa kwa wanafunzi kutoka familia maskini hasa katika wadi zote 15 za kaunti hiyo.
Akiongea alipozindua shughuli ya utoaji hundi za ufadhili huo katika eneo la Igwamiti, Gavana wa kaunti ya Laikipia Nderitu Murithi alisema kati ya shilingi milioni 35 zilizotengewa shughuli hii, shilingi milioni 3.36 zitatolewa kwa wanafunzi 917 kutoka familia maskini katika wodi hiyo.
This year we have been able to distribute 35 million shillings for various secondary school and college students from Laikipia. In this ward of Igwamiti, we have distributed 3.36 million to assist 917 students.
Murithi alirejelea swala la mchakato wa marekebisho ya katiba almaarufu BBI, akisema kuidhinishwa kwa mswada huo kungeiwezesha kaunti hiyo kupata mgao zaidi wa fedha hizo.
The Building Bridges Initiative BBI, and we wanted Laikipia to get 4 billion additional resource. So today we would not have been talking about 3.3 million here. We would have been talking about 50 million. We would have been talking about maybe 5,000 students getting assistance. But nonetheless, the verdict is
walionufaika na mpango huo walieleza kuridhishwa, wakisema umewadia wakati ufao, wakati familia nyingi zinazokabiliwa na changamoto za kiuchumi kufuatia mfumuko wa bei.
Wale wahitaji ni wengi sana, lakini pesa ni kidogo, lakini tunashukuru kwamba government kwa hayo tumepata kidogo.
Na tumerudisha shukrani sana kwa sababu ametusaidia pahali pakubwa sana.
Kiripotia Kurunzi, jina langu ni Alvin Kaunda.
Tukiingia kwenye masuala ya siasa ni kwamba wakazi wa wadi ya Kamasian katika eneo bunge la Kipkelion Magharibi wamekataa orodha ya uteuzi wa wanachama wa chama cha UDA wa bunge la kaunti. Tume huru ya uchaguzi na mipaka IEBC ilichapisha kwenye gazeti rasmi la serikali jumla ya watu 23 kwa uteuzi wa bunge la kaunti ya Kericho.
Wakiongozwa na Festus Kigen, kiongozi wa vijana, wakazi hao wamesema licha ya wapiga kura kujitokeza kwa wingi katika vituo vyote 19 vya kupigia kura kumchagua gavana mwaniaji Daktari Eric Mutai, Seneta Aaron Cheruyot na mwanamke mwakilishi wa bunge la kitaifa Beatrice Kemei walitemwa nje licha ya eneo hilo kutekelezwa.
It is heartbreaking to know that our ward was left out minus a nomination slot. Yet on the other day of nomination, we stood with the governor, women rep, area MP, and our beloved MCA to the last man for the record. Governor won in the 19 polling station all together, and all these nominated members thumbs us down.
Kigen aliongeza kuwa waliwaunga mkono viongozi wakati wa kufanya kampeni na sasa wamegundua walihitaji tu kura zao, akisisitiza kwamba walemavu kutoka eneo hilo waliahidiwa uteuzi lakini baadaye kupuuzwa.
Going forward, we are going to be cautious with our relationship with you because you purport to have the character of cold love. You cannot have a fought and leave us dumb.
Elvis Otieno, Kurunzi Mashinani.
Na basi mtazamaji, leo hii katika makala ya Ifahamu China tunakufahamisha kuhusu bima ya wanyama nchini humo.
Mambo na karibu katika kipindi cha Ifahamu China. Mimi ni Zakia Peng.
Kufuatia ukuaji wa jamii na uchumi wa China, watu wengi wameanza kufuga wanyama vipenzi huku wakiwachukulia mmoja wa familia. Lakini gharama kubwa za huduma ya afya ya wanyama vipenzi zimeleta wasiwasi na shinikizo kwa wamiliki wa wanyama hao. Utoaji wa bima ya wanyama vipenzi umerahisisha njia ya wamiliki kufuga wanyama hao. Sekta ya bima ya wanyama nchini China inazidi kuvutia wateja kutokana na vijana wenye wanyama vipenzi kutafuta ulinzi wa muda mrefu kwa wanyama hao. Mmiliki wa mnyama kipenzi, Bwana Wang, aliyezaliwa miaka ya 1990, anafuga mbwa aina ya Samo. Anaona gharama za juu za dawa na matibabu zinamtia wasiwasi. Kwa mujibu wa Bwana Wang, gharama za huduma ya afya siku hizi ni za juu sana. Mbwa wake aliwahi kuugua na alitumia zaidi ya dola 150 za Kimarekani kwa ajili ya dawa za kuwekwa kupitia mishipa na dawa nyingine. Ili kupunguza gharama, alichukua bima ya wanyama baada ya kushauriwa na rafiki yake. Kwa kulipa ada ya dola 10 hivi kwa mwezi, mmiliki wa bima anaweza kurejeshwa fedha anazotumia kwa ajili ya matibabu ya kawaida ya wanyama, ikiwemo vipimo na utambuzi. Kwa kawaida, bima inalipia 40% hadi 60% gharama za matibabu na inaweza kutumika katika hospitali maalum. Kwa dawa za kupe, vipimo vya mwili na magonjwa mengine ya kawaida ya wanyama, wamiliki wanaweza kurejeshwa fedha moja kwa moja. Kwa wamiliki wa wanyama vipenzi ambao hawaugui mara kwa mara, wanaweza kufurahia huduma za ziada, ikiwa ni pamoja na chanjo, dawa za kupe na huduma za kuwaogesha. Kampuni ya ushauri ya PricewaterhouseCoopers iliripoti mwaka jana kuwa ukubwa wa soko la sekta ya wanyama kipenzi nchini China umefikia dola bilioni 52.11 za Kimarekani. Kwa mujibu wa Swiss Re Institute, malipo ya bima kwa wanyama kipenzi nchini China yanatarajiwa kufikia yuan bilioni 1.4 kama dola milioni 209 za Kimarekani itakapofika mwaka 2025, huku bima ya wanyama ikiwa ni 1.2%. Haya, leo kipindi hiki kinaishia hapa. Katika kipindi kijacho nitaendelea kukuletea mambo mengine yanayovutia kuhusu utamaduni na jamii ya China. Asante kwa kuwa nami. Mimi ni Zakia Peng. Kwa heri.
Na basi mtazamaji, baada ya makala hayo kuhusiana na Ifahamu China, tunaendelea na taarifa nyingine leo hii, na ni kwamba waziri wa utalii Najib Balala amewahakikishia Wakenya kwamba serikali imejitolea kukomesha tatizo la maskota humu nchini, hususan katika eneo la Pwani. Balala alisema serikali imetoa hati milioni 6.5 za kumiliki ardhi tangu mwaka 2013. Mtazamaji, taarifa hiyo tutakuwa tunaipata baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu, lakini na mnaarifiwa kwamba tufike tu kwenye tamati ya Kurunzi Mashinani kwa sasa, lakini usikae mbali, manake baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu nitarejea kwenye awamu ya pili kwenye kipindi cha Tamrini, ambapo leo hii tutakuwa tunazungumza kuhusiana na hatua ambazo Kenya imepiga katika vita dhidi ya ukeketaji. Hivyo basi usikae mbali, nitakuwa narejea baada ya muda usiokuwa mrefu. Mimi naitwa Nancy Okware, mfasiri kwa upande wa ishara ni Lensa Odingo. Kwa heri kwa sasa.
Hold on to life. You have to hold on, my love.
She is the one I wanted to get rid of, not you. My sister will still suffer a lot if you were to die. Why do you look like that? What happened to you? Did you fall? I don't understand.
Someone tried to take something from me, but they won't succeed even with all the punches in the world.
Please, come on, madam. Please, you can't.